All right, it's media day time. We are talking with Craig Smith, head coach over at Hitchcock. Coach, we are talking about the lower classifications, but specifically I want to talk about your Bulldogs because that Hitchcock High School has kind of turned, it is slowly turning into something special there in athletics. And the deal with 3A, you don't have a ton of students in your school, so they play kind of both ways. So the stars we just finished seeing on the basketball court are running things on your football team as well. You got Lloyd Jones in there as quarterback, of course, Damian McDaniel's in there, and a couple other guys. Talk about how you're hoping maybe their success in basketball is going to spring off and maybe get you guys excited for the football season coming up.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you said, at a small school, we rely on every kid. For us to have success, our coaching staff believes, we've got to have every kid participating in every sport possible. And right now, we've got a good group of young guys, of sophomores and juniors, and you know, they love to play, they love to compete, whether it's, basketball, football, track, whatever. I mean, these guys have all played together since they were 5 years old. And, lucky for us, we've had a group of parents that's kind of helped them ever since they were younger. And they would just take them from, football to basketball to baseball to track to 7-on-7. And uh, the kids have grown up that way, and actually, really and truly, they know no different.
How excited are you going in? I know we're 4 months away from things getting started, but you're building off an 11-2 season. You lost to a Franklin team, which everybody did, so it's nothing to really hang your head about. And you have an experienced team coming back. How excited are you for the next season, and what are your goal sets like for next year?
Yeah, we're excited. We like I said, the kids love to compete. That's what we talk about, competing. And I don't know if it's goals, but we talk to them about having standards and to go out and compete. And that's kind of the backbone of who we are. It's we're going to go give everything we got. Damian McDaniel, he was the MVP of the state basketball tournament, and he got his award and all that. And great, we drive home on that Saturday evening, have a pretty big crowd meet us back here at the school with the bus, and police escorts back into town. The kids love that. And it was just a great atmosphere. But you know that Sunday I'm sitting at home, beginning of spring break, and I'm recuperating, and my phone buzzes, and it's a text from Damien's daddy, and there's two videos on there of him at a 7-on-7 tournament in the Woodlands that Sunday, scoring a couple touchdowns. So I mean, that's kind of if what we're about. I mean, there he is getting the MVP on Saturday afternoon in San Antonio, and the next day he's out at the Woodlands in a 7-on-7 tournament.
See,
So that's kind
that, that certainly answers my question about the burnout thing. There's no burnout there. They just want to win, right?
of, well, I think, to be honest, just because they've done it so long that they're just kind of used to it. They really don't know no different. And it goes back to just with some good guidance from the parents and all. And Lloyd Jones III, his father's a coach with us, and so he's been very instrumental in a lot of these kids' growth since they were young.
Since you brought up Lloyd, let's talk about him as a quarterback. How much of an advantage it is to have, like we were just talking about basketball. I just saw him get 21 rebounds in the championship. How much of a luxury it is to have a big, strong arm, tall quarterback at the 3A level, and he's still got 2 more years left with you, right?
Oh yeah, it's huge. I mean, he's growing. I think he measured in the other day at 6'4", 210. He's got some offers, Texas State, Colorado State, North Texas. So yeah, there's a lot of people interested, and we're hoping this spring when the recruiters come back by, he'll gain a little more interest. Uh, yeah, the big body. And, you can't say enough about that. I mean, for in a 3A school, when you're playing 3A opponents, it's if you got a big back, big quarterback, that is a luxury, and a lot of times they're going to be bigger than a lot of the guys on defense, including the defensive line. So yeah, like I said, he's a great competitor as well. Gives everything he's got. Just a hard worker.
Let's talk about, I mean, we talked about all that you do have. When you go into spring ball, there's got to be some area on the field where you're looking for somebody to step up. What position, either offense or defense, where you're looking for the most growth, most leadership, maybe somebody stepping up and taking a spot?
Oh yeah, well, I would say position group wise, our offensive line, our defensive line, we may have one senior starter on both sides, offensive line wise and defensive line wise. So again, we were fairly young last year with the groups we had on, especially on the offensive line. We're going to be a lot better on the offensive line, and it's mostly going to be made up of juniors. We got a lot of good leadership. Two-year starters since they were freshmen, Albert Rubin and Robert Boyson. We're looking for them to kind of anchor our offensive line and provide a lot of leadership.
Talk about, I guess I'll kind of end with this. A lot of times you have a strong 3A team. You got to have a big time non-district schedule to get you ready, because sometimes your district schedule is not that tough, but you got that built-in game with Columbus. I know last year's Columbus game was something else. Back and forth, you ended up pulling that thing out by 5 points, I believe. Talk about that national deal with Columbus and how that kind of gets you ready for that playoff run.
Yeah, with our district that we're in, whether Columbus, Yoakum, Hallettsville, Hempstead, and before Bowling dropped down, they were in our district. And you look back from 2011 on to present date, all of those guys besides Columbus had played in the state championship game, including Hempstead in 2011. So, I mean, you were having it's a tough district. I know a lot of people talk about District 11 with Franklin and Lorena and Cameron and Rockdale. District 11 is pretty tough, and you got to sit back and think, okay, well, how can we prepare for those type of teams? Because Columbus, they've had a phenomenal run the last 4 years or so with Coach Shovell, and you got to sit back and say, okay, well, hey, we've got to prepare, and we opened up with Refugio, had some success with that game. We know it's going to be a battle right now, even though 4 months away, like you said. We're talking about Refugio every day because we know that they're going to be ready. We got to make that long trip down to Refugio, like Refugio had to come up here this past year.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, well, Coach, I appreciate you joining us. And I hope you guys can build off that 11-2 and make it even further, maybe make it 3 games further and get this thing to AT&T. I appreciate you joining us today, Coach.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having us, okay?
All righty.